My name's Cameron.
And I'm Rebecca.
And we are currently in a D2 at North Park Community Church. And it's been a great experience. Tough at times, but great. We're about almost 2 years into it. And at first, I guess us being younger, we didn't really understand what being a missionary or being called into missions was like. And so we sort of got our own mindset of what it meant. And so when we came to our church and said, listen, we're going to Latvia, they sort of put their hands up and said, whoa, we need to talk about this and work with you and sort of discern. And so at that point they put us into a D2, and we've been going through. We've been able to meet with a bunch of individuals who've helped us just sort of understand who we are as individuals, the way that we're wired, to make sure that going forward, whether it is as missionaries, whether we stay here, we're doing what God's created us to do, and that we're not pushing ourselves outside of who we are. At the beginning, it was hard. Like I said, Rebecca and I came at it saying, we are going. This is us. You can jump on board if you want. We would love to have you. And so to see our church, who we thought needed to really just support us as young people who want to go and serve God, put out their hands and say, let's talk about this, let's work through this, and let's slow down. It was difficult to swallow. At times we felt like they were sort of telling us that what God wanted us to do wasn't real. But the more we got into this discussion and really began to understand what it meant to go be a missionary, what it meant to have the skills and the training, really we started to really grasp the whole idea of this D2. They have discerned with us, and we have learned a whole lot about ourselves and about being missionaries and about just working for God's kingdom.
Yeah, so often in our society, our relationship with God is just us and God and our family, and we sit in church and we listen to sermons on Sunday morning, but we don't interact specifically with people to get discernment into our lives. We just use that in our prayer life or with our spouse, so it's been a very interesting experience having people help discern us. And at first, like Cameron said, it was a little bit difficult and weird seeing other people say what they thought that God wanted us to do. But after we learned the process, it's actually been a blessing to have other people's input and other people's discernment into our lives, and people who just really care about us and don't just want to support us and encourage us to what we think, but they want to challenge us and help us become the people that God created us to be.
When we first started this, we had our own Bible study and our own life group, and when we came to them and said, this is what we feel God's calling us to, they prayed for us and they were around us and supported us. But there's something very different about having close friends and family pray for you versus having a D2. Family and friends really they want to support you in what you feel you're called to do, which is great because you need the support. But you often don't get challenged into what your thinking is like. Whereas with the D2, you get the support, but you also get the challenge to say, are you really thinking this through? Have you thought about these different aspects or these different areas? At the beginning of our journey, after we've had these conversations and discussions with our missions pastor, missions board, and it came back that we decided that instead of just stepping forward and going all the way over to being a missionary overseas, in order to get the skills and the training, we should probably do a bit of an internship at our local church. So we did that, working with youth, junior high and senior high, as well as just getting a little more involved in missions and going to some conferences. And that has been great. We've had those in our D2 come around us at different stages of the internship. Working with our missions pastor and understanding missions more, going to a conference with him. Another D2 member came alongside me as I've been working towards my master's in theological studies, and just really came around me in terms of what it means to really pursue academics and theology. And then another D2 member is a youth leader, so being able for him to be there with us around the youth and watch us and guide us as we go along with that has been great.
Yeah, the internship has definitely been a huge learning experience for us. We thought we were prepared for missions 3 years ago, and but being but with the discernment of the D2 and staying in London for a little bit longer, doing this internship has really helped us learn a lot and to be able to prepare for what God has for us in the future.
There's a number of things that we've been able to do with our D2 to sort of understand who we are and the ways that God has made us. We've done a number of different personality tests, Myers-Briggs, ministry tools, assessment, a Colby. And so being able to come with our D2 and talk about, surprising areas that maybe we didn't really understand about ourselves or really didn't realize, and they got to bring that up to light and us really grasp onto that and say, okay, how does that fit in with what we're learning with the D2 and with the internship, and how does that really change us and the outlook for the future, has been great. One of the gentlemen on our D2, he's an older gentleman, and we've been able to meet with him and his wife and just get to know them. Early on in our journey as a couple, we said, yes, we're to follow God. God's calling us into missions, and so we're going to go and serve Him. But being able to meet with this older gentleman and his wife and really understand that something that we've been able to grasp on, that you can serve God anywhere, and so that's something that he's doing. Him and his wife are doing here, and he has a passion to see God's kingdom here on earth and work with missions, but to see that he's able to do that where he's from and not have to go overseas has been great for us. We've been able to see how and talk to them about their journey through and wrestling through missions and go, not go, and where is God calling us and what are we supposed to do with our life. Really resonated with us, and we've been able to really just work through them and just learn from them.
Yeah, it's been really cool having an older couple with their wisdom and see them or just hear them say to us, in the end, what matters is that you're serving God.
At the beginning of our D2 and our sort of this journey, when we came forward and said we are going to Latvia, we are going to be missionaries in Latvia. That's where God's calling us. As we went forward in that manner, we started to feel this heaviness that there's so much before us, and as exciting as it was, it just encompassed so much. And for us just to tackle that on our own was really we started to feel the weight on our shoulders. But then being able to meet with the D2 and just hearing them and being able to bounce off our ideas and what we feel and what we're thinking and how we feel God's leading us, and just hear their feedback on that has been really refreshing. We've actually had that weight of just that soul decision making on our shoulders just lifted, being able just to have other people's wisdom just speak into us and as we go about planning our future.